There's a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being physically alone. You can be surrounded by people and still feel it. You can answer messages, go to work, sit with family, scroll through social media, and still feel like something inside you has gone quiet. And lately, maybe that's exactly how you've been feeling: a little disconnected, a little tired, a little emotionally distant from the world around you. Not because you hate people, not because you want attention, but because deep down, something feels different. And the hardest part is trying to explain it. People may think you're being dramatic or antisocial or negative, but this feeling goes deeper than that. It feels like life slowed down without asking your permission. Friendships changed, conversations became empty, some people drifted away, and now you're sitting in a season you never expected to be in: a lonely season. And if you're being honest, sometimes you wonder if this is punishment. Maybe you think God is disappointed in you. Maybe you think you did something wrong. Maybe you think you're being forgotten. But I need you to hear this clearly today. This lonely season is not a punishment. It may actually be one of the most important seasons of your life. Because sometimes before God changes your life publicly, He works on your heart privately. And private seasons often feel lonely. Throughout the Bible, many people walked through lonely seasons before stepping into purpose. Joseph was separated from his family and forgotten in prison. David spent years alone in caves before becoming king. Moses lived quietly in the wilderness before leading a nation. Even Jesus often withdrew from crowds to be alone and pray. Loneliness did not mean God abandoned them. It meant God was preparing them. And maybe that's what's happening with you right now. Maybe this season is not about losing people. Maybe it's about finding clarity. Sometimes when too many voices surround us, we stop hearing ourselves. And eventually we stop hearing God too. Life becomes noise, expectations, pressure, comparison, distraction, constant opinions from people who don't fully understand your heart. So God allows a quieter season, not to hurt you, but to help you breathe again, because healing rarely happens in chaos. It happens in stillness. And stillness can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to always being busy, always helping, always talking, always distracting yourself from what's happening inside. But eventually, silence starts revealing things. You begin noticing what truly matters. You realize who genuinely cares. You understand what was draining your peace. You see which relationships were built on convenience instead of connection. Lonely seasons reveal truth, and truth can feel painful before it feels freeing. Maybe that's why this season hurts sometimes. You're seeing things more clearly now. You notice how often you gave your energy to people who only came to you when they needed something. You notice how much of yourself you lost trying to keep everyone happy. You notice how exhausted you became pretending you were okay all the time. And now your soul is asking for rest, not laziness, not escape, rest. The kind of rest that comes from no longer forcing things that no longer feel right. Sometimes we think growth will always feel exciting, but often growth feels lonely first, because growth changes your interests, it changes your mindset, it changes your spirit. Things that once entertained you no longer satisfy you. Conversations that once felt normal now feel shallow. Places that once felt exciting now feel empty. That's not something to fear. That's a sign that you are changing. And change naturally creates distance. Not because you think you're better than others, but because your spirit no longer feels comfortable where it used to settle. God often separates before He elevates. He elevates. Not to make you proud, but to make you prepared. Preparation usually happens in private. A seed grows underground before anyone sees fruit. A tree develops roots before it grows upward, and roots grow in hidden places. Right now, your roots are growing, even if nobody notices, even if nobody understands. God is strengthening parts of you that public attention could never heal. He's teaching you how to stand without constant validation, how to find peace without constant noise, how to feel whole without needing everyone around you. That kind of strength only develops in quiet seasons. And yes, there will still be hard days. Days when the silence feels heavy. Days when you miss people. Days when you question yourself. That's normal. Loneliness becomes dangerous only when you believe the lie that it means you are unloved. You are deeply loved by God and by people who truly matter. But this season is teaching you something important. Your worth cannot depend on how many people text you, how many people invite you, how many people notice you. Your worth comes from God, always. People change, crowds shift, relationships come and go, but God stays. And sometimes He allows lonely seasons So you finally stop searching for permanent peace in temporary people. That doesn't mean relationships are bad. God created us for connection. But human connection works best when your heart is first grounded in Him. Otherwise, people become emotional replacements for peace only God can provide. And eventually, that leaves you empty. Maybe this season is teaching you to stop chasing people who are not chasing God. Maybe it's teaching you to stop begging for attention from people who only value you when it benefits them. Maybe it's teaching you that protecting your peace is not selfish, it's wisdom. Jesus loved deeply, but He did not chase everyone. He walked away from crowds. He spent time alone. He rested. He prayed. And if Jesus needed quiet moments, why do we feel guilty for needing them too? You do not have to apologize for healing. You do not have to apologize for becoming more careful with your energy. You do not have to apologize for choosing peace over pressure. This season may feel lonely, but it is also sacred. Because God does some of His deepest work when nobody else is around. That's when your prayers become real. That's when your faith becomes personal. That's when your heart becomes honest, not performative, not distracted, just honest. And honesty is where healing begins. Right now, you may feel hidden, but hidden does not mean forgotten. A caterpillar disappears before becoming a butterfly. Winter trees look lifeless before spring returns. Just because something looks quiet doesn't mean growth has stopped. Some of the greatest changes happen invisibly, and one day you will look back at this lonely season differently. You will realize it protected you from relationships that would have drained you. You will realize it gave you space to heal wounds you ignored for years. You will realize it brought you closer to God than comfort ever could. You will understand that this season was not punishment. It was preparation. Preparation for healthier relationships, preparation for deeper peace, preparation for stronger faith, preparation for a more grounded version of yourself. Because God is not trying to isolate you forever. He is rebuilding you carefully. And rebuilding takes time. Sometimes we want God to fix everything quickly, but quick healing often doesn't last. God heals deeply, and deep healing happens layer by layer, slowly, quietly, lovingly. So if you're in a lonely season today, stop fighting it so hard. You don't need to rush to fill every silence. You don't need to force every connection. You don't need to panic just because life feels quieter than before. Some seasons are meant for slowing down. Some seasons are meant for reflection. Some seasons are meant for rediscovering who you are without the pressure of everyone else's expectations. And maybe this season is teaching you that being alone is not the same as being abandoned. God is still with you in the silence, still guiding you in the stillness, still loving you in the quiet moments nobody else sees. You are not invisible to Him. Every tear, every anxious thought, every lonely night, He sees all of it. Psalm 34 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, not distant, close, especially now." So breathe deeply today. You are not falling apart. You are slowing down long enough for God to put some pieces back together. And one day this lonely season will make sense, not because it was easy, but because it changed you in ways noise never could. You'll become softer without being weak, stronger without becoming cold, wiser without losing kindness. And when the right people finally enter your life, you won't need them to complete you. You'll simply be able to love them from a healthier place. That's the beauty of this season. It is not destroying you, it is rebuilding you. Quietly, carefully, lovingly. So know this lonely season is not a punishment, it's a process, and God is still walking through it with you.